What if there was a way that parents could have a coach on their side helping them help their kids get where they both want to be? Is being motivated for sports, punishment, conditioning, are those things bad? Having a player-coach relationship is very, very important. It can't ever be player-friend, coach-friend relationship. It has to be player-coach relationship, and I think that's the same way with the parent. I can tell you this, the coaches that motivated me and had high expectations of me and challenged me to be the best person and player that I could be every day, those are the coaches I remember. Those are my favorite coaches, and I think they had the most effect on me of who I am today. You know what? Enough talk already. I'm ready to get the show started. Let's get this thing going. Somebody light this candle.
And we're here at NoTimeoutsLeft.com, our No Timeouts Left program. I'm your host, Coach Okra, and we're here at the NoTimeoutsLeft.com studios. The renovation is almost complete, and we're just about ready to get this thing on a different level. Today's episode is the last of the what we're going to talk about through the series, through the program episode. We've got a few more things left on our finishing the sports examples, a few left on the parent topics, and then a few left on the No Timeouts Left techniques. One thing about this program, though, it is not for everybody. If you've got a toddler right now, and we're talking about infants, it's not going to be for infants. Or it's not going to be for toddlers if you're already past the infant stage. If you have teenagers, and we're talking about the toddler stage, it's not going to be that same. It's not going to be for teenagers when we're talking about toddlers. I guess the thing is that I'm trying to say is this show is not for everyone. If you already have kids, if they're already grown, if they're already into college or if they're already in high school, then probably a lot of this stuff is not going to be good. There is a tough age between around 12 and a half to 13 to 18 years old that is really, really tough to do. But what we're trying to do with this program for those who care, want to be professional parents on the journey, is trying to set a plan up prior to when they get to be 13 years old. Not wait till they get, and then now we're going to start doing these things. A lot of this has to do with planning. And whenever you're a coach and you're going to be playing a team, you're planning on what you're going to do against that team. You're checking out what that team has done in the past, what are some experiences they've had, who their go-to players are, and you're trying to prepare your team for those things. The same thing when you're preparing your children for life, you have to prepare early for a later age. The things you tell them when they're 4, 5, and 6 are going to be for when they're 13, 14, and 15. It's not necessarily for right now, but it's going to be for later on. You want to build up that callus of knowledge when you're a child, and you can help as a parent give that to them. One of the things that I do whenever I talk to coaches, whenever I interview them, in general, in high school sports, for example, you got coaches that have been coaching for 20, 25, 30 years. And one of the things that I ask him is, how do you, as a coach that's been doing this for so long, get all of your knowledge into the players within that couple of year span of time? Meaning they're only on varsity their senior year, or maybe their junior, senior year. If they're lucky, they're on varsity their sophomore, junior, senior year. How do you get all of that knowledge into those players just in that short period of time? And the answer is really, really simple. We start it when they're in junior high. We start it when they're in pee-wees. We start having the kids work with the program, the calls, the plays, the type of defense and offense that we're running, the batting, the pitching, the infielding, whatever it is. We start working with them at a younger age, so that way when they get to varsity, they've already had several years experience of it. And a lot of them have their varsity coaches coaching down in the lower levels, making sure that those kids have that experience early in their sports careers. So in order to get the plan going, you have to start early. When the USA volleyball Olympic team, national team at the time, was playing a dual match in an area with the Brazilian national team, it was probably around 2005 or something like that. Anyways, the teams were playing after the match was over. They played a four match roundabout where they went to 4 different cities or 4 different areas or whatever. But I went to two of the different ones, and the one that I went to that it was most influential on me was when after the match I went up and talked to the USA volleyball coach. He was just standing by himself or sitting by himself in the chair, and one of the things I just talked to him about some volleyball stuff and asked him some questions and knew enough about it to be able to ask follow-up questions and whatnot. But the interesting thing was I saw the Brazil national team volleyball coach over there, Jose Gameres, I think is his name. And I said, you know what, I want to go talk to him. So I went over there and talked to him, and I asked him, in essence, how is it that your players who individually don't look like they could even start for the USA team consistently beat the USA team and all the other teams in women's volleyball? How is it that your team can do that? And he told me how they're able to do that. And the basic 2 things are they start working with those kids when they're 6 and 7 years old, not when they get to be in college, not when they get to be out of college. They start working with them. They know who their parents are. They know the lineage. They know the athleticism. So they start working with them at a very young age. So that way when they get to high school, when they get to college age, they've been playing together for a long, long time. Whereas a lot of the other teams don't start playing together till they get into college or even after college. So that was really influential on me on how I work with my kids and my players and start them at a younger age, 4th, 5th grade, and then work them through the system. And when you do that, you have a good opportunity to have a sports knowledge base very vast when they get to be just before college. And the same thing when you're working with kids, when you're working with your own children. Start preparing them early for what they're going to see when they get to junior high. Start preparing them early for what they're going to see when they get to high school. Start preparing them early for the different obstacles and trouble and hurdles that they're going to run into. Because if you try to move all the hurdles out of their way, you're never going to be able to prepare all the roads for your child. So you need to prepare your child for all the roads that they're going to get on. They're going to run into adversity. How are they going to cope with those things? They're going to run into a situation with a girlfriend, with a boyfriend, with parents, with whatever. They're going to run into those situations. And we as parents, to be professional parents, if we can prepare them for all those things, prepare them how to cope for all those things, then when they do come up, it's going to be a lot easier for them to handle. And their reaction to it and what they do after that adversity is going to be very instrumental in how their life proceeds from there and how they're able to transition that information into having when they have their own children. So let's finish up on finishing sports examples. We have 27 of them. We're doing the last 6. Sports, you have practice. In school, you have homework. When you're with children, you're trying to prepare them at home for other things. Whenever you're doing homework at home, and this is what I'm covering here is topics that we're going to cover more in depth, more detail later on in an individual series. I'm just kind of going over a summary of the things we're going to be talking about. And again, this isn't for everybody. I'm not doing this show for people who don't watch the show. I'm not doing the program for people who aren't going to be beneficial for the program. I'm doing it for the ones that want to watch it and want to benefit from the experience. So practice and homework. Whenever you have homework, you're practicing for school. You're practicing to learn the knowledge of that particular subject. And in football, you're practicing to get ready for a particular game and learning those life lessons that you're learning through athletics. And that's kind of where this idea of this program came into being is your children are learning life lessons from their coaches that they have. Well, how are they learning the life lessons? They're learning them from the coaches. They're learning from the processes that the coaches put them through at practice. And being able to deal with practice, being a good practicer, then also transitioning that to being a good homework person. When I always wondered, why do we even have math? Why are we working on math? What's the purpose of algebra? What's the purpose of geometry? What's the purpose of trigonometry? What's the purpose of doing those? Other than just the basic being able to make calculations to figure out information, Whenever you're doing word problems, whenever you're doing proofs, whenever you're doing tough algebraic formulations, the main reason that we have math and algebra and geometry and trigonometry and calculus and all these other ones in school is you have to learn how to be a problem solver. And when you learn how to be a problem solver in complex things that aren't just, here's the answer, 2 plus 2, and I have 2 sticks, and I have 2 sticks, that's 4 sticks. Well, once you start putting x in there, and y in there, and g, and to the 4th power, and all these other things, and sine, and cosine, and tangent, once you start putting those other things in there, you have to actually work through the process and figure it out on an ongoing basis. And when you get good at problem solving, then when you get home, when you have a situation, a coping issue, when you have a parent issue, you have a girlfriend issue, you have a sports issue, you can go through and solve the problem more easily because you're used to solving problems through those things. So homework really helps out. Practicing and homework are very similar whenever you're dealing with either school or with sports. When I coach my kids, one of the things I want them to say when I'm coaching is, I want them to help me look good. Make the coach look good. How can you make the coach look good? One of the ways that you can make the coach look good is you can do the things that I ask you to do. I always ask them, every team that I coach, if you do the thing I ask you to do and it doesn't work, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? But if you do something I didn't ask you to do and then it doesn't work, now whose fault is it? Because I didn't ask you to do that. I didn't ask you to go to that spot or throw that pass or run that play or do that blocking technique or throw the ball to second base or throw the ball to third. I wanted you to do a specific thing, and you decided you're going to do it a different way. So if you'll just try to make me look good and do exactly what I'm asking you to do, if it doesn't work, then it's on me. Then I'm the one that looks bad because I'm the one that told you to do it. And if you'll do the things I'm asking you to do and it doesn't work, I look bad. But if it does do correct, if it does look good, then all of a sudden you are the one that ends up looking good. However, if you try to do something on your own accord, if you go rogue on me and it doesn't work, then all of a sudden now who doesn't look good? So that's what we call making the coach look good. Whenever you have a player, whenever you have a sub varsity or a sub position, where it be a player coach, a officer, an infantry, where you have a teacher, a student, where you have a parent or a child, there has to continue to be, as long as that situation is intact, there has to be a player-coach relationship. There has to be a parent-child relationship. There has to be an officer-infantry relationship. There has to be a teacher-student relationship. As long as they're still the student, as long as they're still the child, let's say under 18, as long as they're still in infantry, as long as they're still a player, there has to be that player-coach relationship. You can't ever let it get to be friend relationship. As long as you can keep that separation, then you're going to have very good consequences, very good outcomes, very good results because of that dynamic between the two. Several coaches, many parents, a lot of teachers, they get into a friend relationship. And what happens is once your friend on the team, meaning the player is a friend of the coach, and all of a sudden you as the coach ask your friend player to do XYZ skill or move here or whatever, and they don't do it, and then you say something to them, then all of a sudden I thought we were friends. I thought we were friends. The same thing with your children. If you try to do friends with them, once you tell them, I need you to do homework or whatever, I thought we were friends. The same thing with the infantry. Well, I went rogue, I did this thing. You're not supposed to do it. I thought we were friends. You can't have a friend relationship as if you have a subordinate, meaning an infantry, a player, a student, or a child. There needs to be that separation of a parent-player, a parent-child, player-coach relationship, officer infantry, and then teacher-student. There has to be that separation for that period of time anyways. And with that, you get into the situation of telling your players that they're good, telling your kids they're good, telling your student they're good, telling the infantry people that they're good. And here's why I'm saying that. Once you tell your player that they're good, in essence, what you're saying to them is, from my level of coaching, from my level of knowledge of the game, you're at a level that I can say now you're good. If they're good enough at a level that you're teaching them or a level that you're coaching them, then they need to get a new coach who knows more than you to be able to get up to a higher level. Because if they're good for you right now, how are you going to improve their abilities, improve their skills, improve their craft? Because for you, they're good right now. There should never be, in general, there should never be a time that you as a coach tell your player that they're good or they're good enough or they're really good while they're playing for you. And many of my players have told me after they've gone from high school on to college and now they're back coaching and now they're even coaching with me or they're coaching varsity programs or in college coaching somewhere. And when I talk to them, they say, you know what? You never told me that I was good. I said, that's right. I can tell you now, you were really good. But I was not going to let you think that what you were doing was good enough for yourself or for the team or for us or for me. But now I can tell you, you were really good back then. And I said, I don't care if you're playing for the Olympic team. If you're not doing your job, if you're giving half effort, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, I'll be letting you know that that's not good enough. And when you're coaching, you need to make sure that you let your kids know that what they're doing, you're getting better, you're improving, you're making good efforts. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it continue to improve. We can improve every day. Every day we can get better. There shouldn't be a time that you say, oh, you're good. Because as soon as you do, in essence, what you're telling the kid, what you're telling the parents of that kid is that coach thinks that this relativeness is good. So he or she shouldn't be coaching my kid to be better. Now they need to find someone who that's not good enough for, so that way they can elevate the play of that particular player. And I think similar things can be done with your children. Once you say you are a great daughter, once you say you're a great son, sometimes, okay, well, that's all my parent expected me, is to do this. There's no higher level of expectation of me. Whenever I have a team, and I notice this, I've seen several state championship matches where coaches have been coaching their team all the way through. They've been coaching them in district. They've been coaching them in the regional tournaments. They've been coaching in the semifinals. And then they get to the state championship game. Other than making adjustment here, adjustment there, there's really not a lot of time, there's really not an occasion to be able to teach a skill, a craft, a particular motion or a movement or steps or footwork or whatever. There's no time to teach that. Now you're in the state championship game. Basically what you can do is just cheer your team on. And let's go. However good we do, this is how much we've worked to get to this particular spot. And let's just keep going with it. And if we mess up, then we mess up. But we're going to get back on the horse and let's just keep going. And watching those coaches in the state championship games when their teams are down or their teams are up, just getting excited and seeing their teams do well, because there's no more individual coaching going on. There's no more individual drills. Now it's team. And to see those coaches recognize that is very awesome. The same thing with kids. Whenever you have your kids, you want to, when they get to be 18 years old or they get to be out of college and they get to be with their spouses and start having their kids, man, you're just cheering them on. Let's go. Let's do some great things. Look forward to seeing, because you know what? As good as they are as a child, as good as they are now as an adult, that's what you either did or didn't do as a parent as you were raising them. Let's call after high school. Let's call after college. Let's call that the state championship now. There's no more time to work on the skills that we work on as parents. There's no more time to give them those instructions to be able to prepare them for certain things. Now you become a counselor for your children, not necessarily a parent. Now all of a sudden, let's see them on a similar level. Now they're our relatives. They're not our children anymore. Now they're our relatives. And we can't parent them anymore. We could try, but they're not. It's a different dynamic. Once they start having kids, it starts being difficult to be a parent to your child and tell them take the trash out, do the laundry, go mow the yard, all those other things. When you get to a situation where they're a parent and now they have their own children, it's a triple dynamic. So however your kids do at parenting, however your kids do at coping, however your kids do at college and after that, that's because of what you've either done or not done as a parent. There is no more opportunity to be able to work further. And then finally in this section, playing junior high, high school, college, major league sports versus playing club or select sports. Whenever you're playing junior high, in general, the coaches want the girls, the boys, whatever team it is, they want them to win games. It's a lot of times it has to do with that coach's job. It has to do with that coach's increase in their abilities and increase in their hierarchy is how good we do at this level. That the varsity coach used to be a junior high coach, used to be a Pee Wee coach, or maybe he was a grad assistant. Now he's a college coach. Now he's going on to the NFL. Whenever you're playing in those environments, those coaches want to win. But the coaches have an investment in your child, in your son, and your daughter. And they want to make sure that they're doing well, but they also care about it. They also care about it. When you watch movies, I like the documentary movies like Miracle, like Hoosiers. I like those kind of movies where you have that player-coach relationship, and to see the obstacles that they overcome, to see the team bonding, and to see the player-coach relationship continue throughout until the very end. Those coaches appreciate their players. They appreciate their hard work, and they care about them. And 20, 30 years later, they're still on a first-name basis, and they enjoy hearing about them. They're friends, and they want to see them grow. Well, that all starts when they're in junior high. That all starts when they're in high school, and when they go to college, and then when they go to further sports. In club sports and select sports, in general, in my mind, it shouldn't be we're trying to win. It should be we're trying to help them get better. We're trying to get better and then even get seen by colleges later on. We're not necessarily trying to win games because colleges don't recruit teams, they recruit players. So we're trying to help players get better at their position or maybe a different position. Maybe we as coaches can find a different position that may be better suitable for them going forward. It may not always be, well, hey, somebody said I could be a setter. Somebody said I could be a hitter. Somebody said I'd be a guard. Somebody said I could be a center. Well, it all depends on what team you're going to be on. Magic Johnson could have been a center on most NBA teams, but his coaches started out early, teaching him how to dribble, being a good guard. That was very insightful for them to get him to do those things early. When you see these tall players that are guards, it's because the coaches were trying to find a position for them that was going to work for them in the future, not necessarily right now. Okay, let's take our first time out. If you have questions or successes, send us a note at Coach Okra at notimeoutsleft.com. We love to hear about different successes that you've had. So if you have children who have gone through college and now we're in the working world and getting married, having their own kids, send us some successes about some of the things that you did when they were 8 and 5 and 2 and 13. What are some things that you did for your kids? There was something that you did. There was a plan that you had. Maybe you didn't codify it in writing it down, but maybe you knew, hey, you know what? I'm doing this particular thing, and I'm going to stick with this program. I'm going to stick with this area of plan that I'm working here for my kids. If you did something like that, I would love to hear about it. We'd love to share it here on the show. When I talk to parents, when I'm at weddings, because I have a lot of players that played for me, and then they get older and they get married. And when they get married, one of the things I do is I talk to the moms, I talk to the dads. What are some things that you did? What are some things that you didn't do? What are some things that you saw where there was the issues? What are some things that if you had another child, you would do the same thing? Oh, I would do this. I'd make this change over here. Those are the kind of things I'm talking about. Also, questions. Send in questions. If you're coming up on a child being a toddler, coming up on a child being a schooler, being a teenager, being in high school. Those are some questions that we look forward to. Be happy to answer them here on the show when we get a chance. At Coach Okra at notimeoutsleft.com, and send us those questions, send us those successes. Also, subscribe to us on our Facebook page. Let other people know about us. If you like what we're doing, you think they might benefit from it, let them know about it. Be a subscriber. That way you'll know about all of our upcoming videos. And don't forget about our professional parenting verbiage videos. I'll be wearing a different shirt in those, and those will be really good to continue your professional parenting journey. And the timeout is over. All right, let's work toward now finishing parent topics. This is going to be a subject that we're going to spend a lot of time on a future episode, but basically it's this. When do you let your children start making decisions on their own? When do you as a parent back off and start letting them make the decisions and then letting them be accountable for those decisions? And that should be a super, super show. I can't wait for that one. It's going to be awesome. Also, what about two parents working? Where are the kids at? Now they're at daycare, probably being raised by an aunt, being raised by a grandmother. Whenever you have that situation, your children are being raised by somebody else. When I was in the daycare business, one of the things I noted whenever I was doing my process of getting ready to run a daycare, one of the things I noticed was that the kids get up in the morning, the parents are going to work, they drop them off at 7:30 so they can get to work by 8, and then they pick them up at 6:30. The parents really only have maybe 30 minutes to an hour with the kids in the morning, and maybe by the time they pick them up and get dinner done, it's already time for bed. So maybe they get 2 hours at night. Whereas the daycare center had them from 7:30 to 6:30. They had them for 11 hours. And over a 5-day period, that's 55 hours a week that someone else is raising your kid. Someone else is raising your kid. Someone else is instilling into them the things that they want to from the curriculum, from the daycare center. And it's very important to know who those teachers are, to know what their background is, to know what kind of styles and techniques they use when they're doing their raising of those kids at the daycare center. Then you as a parent, you have them on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, let's say, but you only have them 1 hour in the morning, maybe 2 hours in the afternoon. So you have them 3 hours. So you have 33 hours of raising your kid during the week, where the daycare center has 55 hours of raising your children. Whereas when the kids go to school, now the kids are at school for 7 hours a day. If they play sports, they're there from 6:30 in the morning till 3:30 in the afternoon, or they're there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5:30 in the afternoon. That's quite a bit of time. Now someone else is raising your kids. You're at work or whatever. And then you have a situation where you have one parent households, where it's a single dad or a single mom, or whatever it is, and they have kids. Now it's even tougher. It's even tougher to do. So we'll talk about that one. And then also single parents, when you have a single mom or single dad, and let's say there was a divorce situation. Let's say someone died. Let's say there was an incident or whatever it is. Let's say that those things happen. How can we prepare our children to cope with that situation? Now there's a step parent that comes in somewhere or the other on either side. Single mom, single dad. Now there's a step parent that comes in. How are the children going to be able to cope with that? That can be very devastating to a child, especially when they're in the younger ages. How are they going to handle? How is that catalyst going to cause those kids to mentally be able to deal with life on an ongoing basis? And when it happens, when you have a 13-year-old, a 9-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old, you can see how that occurs in how it affects each of them differently when that happens. And that'll be some good stuff to talk about later on in a future episode. How about children with disabilities? Is it a blessing? Is it a curse? I look forward to some of our interviews that we're going to have with parents who seemingly have a kid with disabilities. However, they would tell you it's a blessing and that they're blessed every day to even have the opportunity to love on their child, to be with their child, to have their child around them. And it's been such a blessing, something that they maybe didn't think of when they were pregnant. And now here they are, they have this situation and they are very blessed. I look forward. I have several acquaintances and people who I'm going to interview and talk to them about these specific things, and I think you'll really enjoy and benefit from that. What's the difference between chores and working outside the home? One of those things is earning the right to live here, earning the right to be under this roof, earning the right to participate in the family household. And when you have things, you have different responsibilities. They're in charge of the trash. They're in charge of the dishes. They're in charge of the vacuuming. They're in charge of dusting. They're in charge of this. One thing that we noted earlier in a previous episode was how in the Old Testament, in Kings and Chronicles, you have the great king who has the terrible child. Then he has the great son who has the terrible child, who has the great son, who has the terrible king. And it just keeps going in a roller coaster. One of the things I notice when I'm talking to parents and whatnot is that they really want to make sure that they keep their kids grounded. Even if they're rich, even if they're multi-million billionaires, keep their kids grounded and don't let them even know that we even have money because you guys are doing the stuff. The girls are in charge of this particular thing. The boys are in charge of this particular thing. And as long as you can keep your kids grounded, then they're going to have a better opportunity for success later on. And we'll get to that in future episodes. Here's one that's similar but different to the you're good enough is I'm proud of you. You can be proud of your children just in the effort that they put forth. Whether it ends up being a good result or bad result, there can be a level of pride that they made the effort to do something. Even though they make a bad grade on a test, you know how much work they put in it. You know how much effort they put in it. You know how much research they put into that particular paper. You know how much time and effort they spent doing a particular sport skill and learning these things. And sometimes it just doesn't have a good result. Okay, here's the deal. I'm proud of you for making the effort to do those things. A lot of people wouldn't have made that effort. You made the effort, and I'm right behind you. I'm so proud of you, son. I'm so proud of your daughter. And let's just get in line and let's just do it again. One of the ways that you can do those involvements of I'm proud of you is a father-son golf tournament, a father-son event, a mother-daughter event, a father-daughter dance, a mother-son dance, making it to where there's that relationship is continued to meld together and be more solidified by doing those type of activities. And I'm proud of you is probably not said enough to a lot of kids, my own kids probably, but I'm proud of you sincerely about the things that you're doing, the things you're working toward, the accomplishments that you've made. Those I'm proud of you moments are very important for children. It's very important for parents also. And then with that, the saying of I love you. When you say I love you to an infant, they hear you, but they don't know what you're saying. You have to be able to say I love you and mean and sincerely say I love you when even your kids may not even be able to hear what you're saying or understand what you're saying. You also have to be able to say I love you and be sincere in your words, even when they may not even like you at that point. They may love you too, but they may not even like you then. And continue that bond and continue that melding of the relationship between the parents and the children. Because as we talked about in the very first episode, we talked about why are we here, and it's relationships. We have all these different relationships. We have a relationship with the higher power. We have a relationship with our children. We have a relationship with our parents. We have a bunch of them. And those relationships are very important, and being able to cope with the different relationships are going to be very instrumental in how your children grow up. And we're going to take our second time out. Questions, successes. Coach Okra at notimeoutsleft.com. We're working on our professional parenting journey. This program is for the benefit of those who want to benefit from it. If you're already a great parent, you don't need this, then you don't need this. You go on down the road, find another one, go to Dr. Spock, go to Dr. Laura, go to some of these other ones, and see how that one works out. But I think what we do here is we do this program from a different perspective on preparing the kids for life as a coach prepares their team for the game or for the week or for the tournament or whatever it is. We want to see if that can be something that parents can do. If you've done things like that, if you've noticed that you've done some things like that, and now your kids are grown and they're married and moving on, we want to hear about those successes. Coach Okra at notimeoutsleft.com. Also, if you have any questions, situations that you have in your own life, that you have a teenager and they're just about to go to high school and you're concerned about bullying, believe me, we have some stuff about that. If your kid is very introvert and you're extrovert, how do you deal with those issues? Or you're introvert and they're extrovert, how do you deal with those issues? We want to talk about those things, and we will look forward to answering those questions at Coach Okra at notimeoutsleft.com. All right, now we're into the final section here of our program, and that is the No Timeouts Left techniques. We're finishing up on the techniques. We did 1 through 5 last time. Let's do 6 through 10 this time. We call this earning the money to pay for what happened. My mom, and I'm sure a lot of moms, I'm sure a lot of dads, when you're doing something, if you mess it up or you break it, then the parents are ultimately going to be responsible for it, but sometimes they can say, they can make you earn the money to pay for it back to them. At the house I lived in, I wanted to be a pitcher, and the end of the curb was just far enough to where a pee-wee distance would be, and then we had a cement foundation that was about this high, and then about this much higher than the cement foundation was a window up here. And in order to make the ball come back to you, I'm pitching from the curb, throwing the ball toward the window. Every time I hit the cement foundation, the ball would roll back to me, and I could work on my fielding skills while I'm throwing the ball at the cement. But that window was right there. So it was very advantageous to me to make sure that I kept the ball low enough to be able to hit that cement instead of hitting the window. Because if I hit the window, that meant I was going to have to mow some yards. I was going to have to go pick up trash around the neighborhood. I was going to have to do some volunteer work to be able to pay for those things. So sometimes, maybe that example is similar to something that you may know, but if you can have it to where, when we talk about these are punishment, discipline techniques of our No Timeouts Left techniques, is make them pay for the thing that they broke or the thing that happened. They wrecked the car. There's a deductible involved. They did something else. They messed up the grass. They messed up a window. Whatever it is. When that happens, they need a sense of accountability and get them to do something to help pay for the activity that happened. Whenever my cousins and or nieces and nephews, in-laws, whenever they're around me, they always have their kids, hey, go play with Coach Okra. Go play with Coach Okra. Okay. Well, they range from 3 years old to, let's say, 12. So 3 to 12 years old. And in those ranges, there are certain particular children in that group that come over and sometimes it's 5 or 6 of them at one time. It's not just one. It's 5 or 6 of them that were playing in the pool, we're playing in the yard, we're playing games, whatever it is. And yeah, I'm a good babysitter. I know what I'm doing. I've done it plenty of times. I raised up my own kids. Now these other parents are saying, hey, can you should do something for my kid. You what? I love to do it. I love to do it because that's where I get to practice some of this stuff on other kids. And being a coach, when I'm coaching thousands of kids, on an ongoing basis, hundreds of kids per year. These things work. One of them is reverse psychology. So when you have the reverse psychology technique, one of the ways it works is because they want to not do whatever you say. So using that, I say things like, do not get out of that pool and dry off and go sit on that chair over there. Do not eat your dinner, finish your dinner, and go to bed. Do not take a shower and go to sleep. Or it works the other way. It's usually the do nots. Usually the do nots is what works. Sometimes it's, I bet you can't. I bet you can't do this. I bet you can't do that. In general, those 3 to 12-year-old age groups, those work really good. The 3s and 4s are probably a little tougher, but surely the 5 through 12, I bet you can't do this. Do not do that. And I'm telling you, they will do it right now. I bet you can't do this here. I bet you can't do this thing. Oh, yes, I can. Oh, yes, I can. Well, don't do that over there. Whatever you do, don't do that over there. And then, boom, they're doing it right now. They're showing me. I'm not listening to you. They don't have the first clue that the thing that they're doing is exactly what I wanted them to do from the beginning. So, and a lot of times when you're doing disciplinary techniques, you can use those reverse psychology, no timeouts left technique. And our third one on the list, 8th one on the list total, but this is going to be probably very important. 2 or 3 episodes are going to be on this, I would guess. But it's going to be about goals. Number 1, for you as a parent. What are the goals I want to achieve for my child? I want them to make it through high school, college, get married, have children. I want it to be, I just want to get them to 18 and then that's it. Or I want them to do so well at being a child that they continue that cycle on with their own children and that they continued on with their own children. Those are some goals. Also, we talked about how do we get our children to want to be great children. When the athletes come to me and their parents tell me my son, my daughter wants to be a great football player, a great baseball player, a great volleyball player, a great golf player, I'm assuming that that's what they want to do. And I always ask them, why are you here? And I want to be a better whatever. Okay. Well, let's work on, based on you wanting to be good, here's the requirements. Let's see if you have the abilities to be able to do these things that I'm asking you to do. How coachable are you? But children don't have that. They don't have it in them to say, I want to be a great child. I don't know if anybody ever says, I want to be a great child. So as parents, we want to start finding out what our kids do want. What goals do they have? And when they're 2 and 3, it's difficult to do this. So this is going to be for later age groups. But your goals about where you want your kids to be at 5, where you want them to be at 10, your goals are going to be important in the younger ages. But their goals, finding out what they want, and you can use a little bit of it when they're in the 3 and 4 age groups. But most of it's going to be 5 and after. And with each age group, there's going to be an advancement of a goal that they want to attain. And we'll go over those plenty of times in our program. But we want to do goals for ourselves, and we want to have the children tell us what their goals is. I want to do this. I want to be just like him. I want to play Major League Baseball. I want to play NFL football. I want to play NBA basketball. Okay. I want to be a straight A student. I want to be a cello player. I want to be a painter. I want to be a photographer. I want to be a truck driver. Whatever it is. Okay, great. Now let's work toward that. You really have to have something that they have a goal of, so that way you can have something to work off of as a parent. And we'll talk more about that later. Also in the punishment and discipline area, we have what we call the go get the item that is going to be used on you. My mom used to say that her mom used to make them go out and get the switch off the tree that they were going to be punished with. And that walk from go and get the switch to bring it back in was a long walk. And you surely didn't want to come back with a small switch. You want to make sure you don't want it too big, you don't want it too small, and make it just the right size. On the other side of it, when my friends and I were playing baseball, one year, one of my friends, his sister's boyfriend, or I'm going to say, could have been husband. I think it was the boyfriend at the time. He had just gotten back from the military as a Green Beret. And here he is helping out with the other coaches on our baseball team. I think it was a 5th grade team. I'm going to say it's a 5th grade team. And we're out doing whatever. We're playing this and that and doing infield drills, outfield drills, batting. And the other coach, who didn't have a kid on the team, would just say, do this technique or whatever. And if it had just so happened that somebody gave the coach sass, well, the Green Beret came over there and said, okay, everybody, pick up your bats. We're going to do a little exercise. And he made us hold that bat above our head, way up high, and we had to run around the bases. We had to run around the outfield. We had to run around the whole fence. We had to run all around there with the bat above our heads. I'm sure when he was with the Green Berets, they were doing it with their guns, but we're doing it with the bats. So he's running around. He's having us run around with bats. Now, what I'm getting to is we never wanted to have to do that thing again. So when the coach told us, now, you guys do what I'm asking you to do, and if somebody didn't do it, all he would have to say was, you guys ready to get the bats? Oh, no, yes, sir. We're doing this. What is it you wanted us to do? We're going to go do this right now. Oh, feel this way. Turn our hand this way. So when you're told to go pick up your bat after that incident, nope, we don't want to have any part of that. No one want to have any part of it. But it's because we wanted to be on the team. It's because we wanted to be good. We wanted to do that. It wasn't because we were there because our parents made us be there, or we were there because our friends were there. We were there because we wanted to be good. And when you have that as a motivator, then you as a coach, then you as a parent have a better opportunity to be a professional parent when your kids have something that they want to do. So going out and picking up the thing that'll be used on you, that bat technique, that worked really good, really good. And the last one is paying for the sports activity or item that you desire, that your children desire to participate in, or that they desire to have as an item. That they want to buy, they want a special bat to use during the baseball season. Okay, you know what? I'll pay half of it. You get half of it, and I'll pay the other half. Okay, well, how are you going to figure that out? I want to play select basketball. Okay, I'll pay half of it. You pay the half. You pay the other half. I can't tell you how many parents have brought a check made out to their children from a grandparent that they got money for Christmas, that they got money for birthday, that they got money for some event. And they use their money that they got from the grandparents as money that they use to pay for their select sports. Because those parents wanted them to be invested. If you want to do this, if you want to pay this, make me as a parent pay this amount of money because you want to play this select baseball, basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, volleyball, whatever it is, then I need you to have some investment in it so that way after the first practice, oh, that coach is me and I'm out of here. Because you didn't have anything invested in it. Now you do have something invested in it, and now that helps the parent a little bit. Hey, that was your money. That was your money that you paid. When one of my daughters decided that she was not going to play volleyball one year, that she was going to be in the drill team. All right, fantastic. How much does that cost? Oh, that's $3,000 or $1,500, whatever it was at the time. I said, if you want to do it, you're paying for it. So what did she do? She went out and got a job. She raised every cent of that. And I tell everyone to this day that getting her to pay for the thing that she wanted to do was very instrumental in her growth. And whenever she was in I don't know if it was the second or third practice for the drill team, she realized real quick that she didn't want to be there. But she had invested all this time and energy and her own sweat equity and money into this that she stayed through it the whole year. Then she came back when she was a senior, and she was right back on the volleyball team and ended up going to Division I college playing volleyball. But she wanted to do that, and I let her do it. I just said, if you want it, then you're going to pay for it, and she did. And when those kids bring their Christmas money, when those kids bring their birthday money, when they bring it in and they say, that really helps me as a coach, here's how much they want to do it. They're willing to give up the money that their grandparents or whoever gave to them for Christmas, and they're willing to invest it in what they're doing in volleyball, and that makes me want to work even harder as a coach to make sure they get full benefit out of that. Anyways, let's take our last time out. This is Coach Okra with NoTimeoutsLeft.com. Send us an email, coachokra@NoTimeoutsLeft.com. Check out our Facebook page, No Timeouts Left, all one word. And visit us on our website, NoTimeoutsLeft.com. Check out our videos, our podcast. These videos are able to be seen. Our podcasts are able to be heard. And we have some other interesting things on there. We also have our professional parenting verbiage videos. And I hope you guys like those things. And hopefully this was not a long episode. I've been trying to do short episodes. Starting now, the next episodes are going to be in the detail of the things. We look forward to your questions. We look forward to your successes. And we look forward to a great journey to professional parenting on NoTimeoutsLeft.com.